from Professor Johan Granberg, VCUQatar. So he's in a place where everyone would like to be at the moment. Hopefully to be there. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear us?
I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for the invitation. It was really an exploration in the materials that could do things I want to do with my student, which was building big structures quickly. I've done this in other materials in other places, but bamboo very quickly, the opportunities with bamboo very quickly arose in my mind. And we had a conference called On Bamboo in 2008 that it's hard to measure success, but for my standard, it was a huge success. I was pretty sure that we're going to do something good with my students. 2/3 of them had already built in bamboo. And we invited 10 international guests to come and build structure with us on campus. But that it would have an afterlife was another thing. So RMIT in Melbourne had an exhibition and produced a film about this. And 1.5 years later, the Architecture Association in London had a follow-up conference, which was more than expected of a research outcome, right? And then years passed, and I was working during that time with a joint that uses coconuts and bamboo and fiberglass, glass fiber, and I thought that was a project I'll never see again. But I had it in my shelf, and about 2 months ago, an artist that I know came by my office and said, "Do you want to sketch on? I have some ideas for sculptures." So we have done this proposal now, and it might happen. And another connection I have with bamboo is my farm, me and my wife's farm down in Kenya, that we have had for 7 years now. And the images of the two girls you see on the right side is my nieces that I think 2 hours after we bought this property, they were there with my wife and planted the 6 first columns of bamboo. They are not structurally sane, yet, but bamboo has really grown. And what we have done, which was kind of a bonus, is that it holds the soils extremely well in this slope. Here's some images of the latest progress of this. And hopefully when we're done with this, I see this as a test facilities for projects. And I always do this invitation. I still haven't got any place for you to stay, but I hope to do workshops and happenings here in the future with bamboo-related materials. We have used the bamboo in one structure, although it's not ready yet, and that's a wall which we built in a very traditional Kenyan highland way with bamboo, very very similar to Byrad with rammed earth in the middle of a bamboo structure. This is for our bees. A couple of years ago, I started, it's 5 years ago, I started to think about that bamboo is, as the favela, has a very soft voice. Something needs to be done about, and I couldn't really find any good films about bamboo. This is not me trying to be self-promoting here, but we did this film, and it had almost 1 million views now. So there is a need to do films about bamboo. And Kent, that you heard, has helped me for my next project, which is a full feature film about bamboo that just need a little bit of editing, final touches of the editing, sound and imaging, but hopefully going to be released early next year. I've said this so many times, but COVID had really put a hamper in all my timelines. So my lecture is called MILLENNIA plus X. Why bamboo now? It feels really odd to say this, but bamboo has been around for a long, long time. And yet it hasn't really fulfilled its promises as an industrial materials. And I think they need to start with understanding, and I can't agree more. The codes are really important here. But one of the things that we can see is, for reasons that we know mostly, bamboo has had a hard time to compete with steel and concrete. I think one of the main reasons for this is this. The Industrial Revolution is really the time where we selected our materiality in the world. You can say that England, after destroying all their woods and built ship out of them, needed other materials to build in. So the organic materials, even brick was hard to fire if you didn't have coal. They needed to go down underground, and they needed to do this. So the Industrial Revolution comes out of it, not so much of it, let's see if we can get steel better than wood, but we don't have any wood left. And as we know that most of the early steel buildings was very, very beautiful, but not as good in quality, equally with the concrete building. It took a long, long time till steel and concrete became the materials we see today. But this is the interesting. Look at the map. If I superimpose the Industrial Revolution and the starting with the areas where we have bamboo, it's almost no overlap. So even if the Industrial Revolution would have been interested in bamboo as a material, which I think they would, there was absolutely no connection. There was a couple of oddities in bamboo, and I'm glad to speak about them. I'm going to show you one early on, but there was really no material available for Industrial Revolution or knowledge available how to build in this material. Right? So it was deselected, and we're really coming into a new era now. And why is bamboo now of interest again? And I've been doing this for a good 15 plus years, and it's almost all the years we talk about this is like it's just around the corner. And I start to feel more and more comfortable that statement, it's all around the corner, is more and more believable. Because what's happened the last 15 years is that technology and techniques has developed that are suitable for bamboo. And I see this as three different but related kind of strategies. First of all, engineered products is probably on the forefront now. It's easy to see them because they fit into our building palette very quickly. We have an emphasis on joinery and connection, where connections to this bamboo structure doesn't necessarily need to be traditional connections, and can mitigate the movement and the differences between the more industrial materials and bamboo's organic qualities. And then we have application of new technologies to put better understanding and mediate the idiosyncrasies of bamboo. And I'm going to come back to all three of them, starting with the engineering bamboo. I don't really know what audience I have today. So if you think I'm a little bit shallow and quick, I try to kind of give you a palette what I think and how I think this is going to happen, but also for a discussion. Engineering bamboo is simply, we have done this in wood. We have taken organic materials as wood, cut it to pieces, glued it together for a long time. Now bamboo seems to and there's a reason why bamboo is almost more suited for this, because with the directional fiber construction, we can see fiber optimization and stuff like this. Of course, we're going to have forerunners as this project in Italy. You can also think about bamboo as sheet material here, as in Maggie Bart's of Stephen Hall. The first project is Sadid Then we have the shrimper bamboo, which is where you crush bamboo and make very much industrial production product of it. But I want to talk a little bit about these oddities, which is the in between the organic materials and the industrial material, because I think we're going to see a whole modality here. And here is a little interior in China, store by a Chinese interior design office called Kun, which uses the cut bamboo and kind of put it together to become shapes. Here's also a very interesting research that they are ongoing down in Virginia Tech, up for you guys, Virginia Tech in US, where Jonas Hauptmann is leading a team to see if we can utilize the bamboo culm in an industrial product. Shows very much promises, I think. They're coming into the joinery. Here we really have thousands of years of history. And what is bamboo joints and how can we see them if we start to work with them as designers, engineers, and architects? Well, they enhance the strength of the bamboo. They mitigate the problems bamboo has in certain load-bearing conditions. For sure, the connection to contemporary materiality, which means that the tolerances can be mitigated. Accommodation for engineering, it's easier to calculate if you have part of the system in a known form. This comes from levels of local skill. This is a big thing because to build bamboo today takes a lot of manpower or know-how in manpower, which we don't really have in every country, which leads into the minimization of complexity. We can't. I think bamboo is going to be harder to build in than most materials. That's not going to change, but we can minimize this complexity. And then the last thing, they need to be affordable and available. And I'm going to show you two kind of attempts. One, but before that, this is for a Brazilian. You should feel pride. This is the Damascene Santos Dumont Dragonfly airplane that uses bamboo in 1909, actually 1908. This is wrong. Was the first one flying. And I went to see a replica built in the Brooklands Museum and the bamboo joinery. He knew his bamboo. This is a guy that worked with a kind of 1 foot in the Industrial Revolution and 1 foot in his native Brazilian bamboo-rich childhood. I can talk for hours about this aircraft. It's a beautiful aircraft. Let's go into experiments with joinery that I think is fruitful. This is done by Maurizio Cardenas, which has one leg in Colombia and one leg in Italy. This is his energy house in China in the Biennale. And here you can see the joinery is mitigating a lot of problems to build with the materials that A, disintegrate, B, moves a lot, right? So I think it's a very good start. I don't think even Maurizio think this is a product that's gonna change the world, but it's an exhibition project, right? We have done a very similar idea where you can in the greenhouse, and I'm gonna show this later on. But this is also a joinery where you can change all the joints, and I need to speed this up. I see. Competition. How would that change? Well, first of all, we can scan materials now, and we can. And this is not the bamboo project, but we can scan materials and put them into their build shapes, like this project for the AA in the wood chip barn. this is not a new idea. We did this before as well. Crooked trees was so valuable, so that you can actually find instances where we have done crooked tree for our shipbuilding industry, right? I showed this project, which is a kind of Brian Erickson's furniture from Costa Rica, where he bends bamboo. So this is probably also one of the avenues we can see if we can grow bamboo to the shapes we want, right? But what I think also is on the rise is this idea of instead of looking at the bamboo as the individual members, looking at it as a system, right? And mitigate the shortcomings of things. We don't understand what every part in the system do, but we know how the system operates. And because we now have fairly powerful machines that can do this, we can predict in a range where our building's going to be heading, right? And of course, everybody's in this building, which is kind of the poster boy right now from the Green School. Have a lot of talk with Neil Thomas about this building, but here you can see how this kind of double curved surfaces start to become something. This project then, which was a project we did where we tried to figure out a way to build a caterway with new double curved surface membrane, and go directly into this, which would be a 2 minutes end of things. And then so I talked about the greenhouse, and this is done for a Kenyan context where we have sheep laborers, sheep and metalwork. We have a second-hand market for rubber, and we have bamboo in quality. And the whole idea was to make a greenhouse where every member could be changed, and when they start to fade away, as a greenhouse is a very challenging milieu for bamboo. We can here we did an experiment. We're still COVID. I couldn't go down to Kenya yet, and then we took this down to Kenya with the precision of computing, and build a first prototype structure that has now been there for 1.5 years. And now we're working with other kind of connection to this system. That's really it. So sorry for dragging over time. I thought I was precisely on time here.
Thank you so much. It was amazing presentation. We enjoyed a lot. Is there any questions? I have one question myself. Can I ask? You are living in Qatar. Anyone likes to go to Qatar, as Professor Omar also said. But do you think there's opportunities also in Qatar? Because in Brazil, we have a lot of bamboo. Availability in Brazil, as we see in the data, we have a lot of bamboo. Is there any opportunity for any connection, Brazil and Qatar?
I think it would be, and I think, I mean, the project I didn't show was really the project where I tried to. So, believe it or not, Qatar was a bamboo country. Up to maybe 30 years ago, a lot of structure was built in bamboo. And it's one of the few countries that doesn't have bamboo, but has a bamboo construction tradition, right? So one of the materials to use for the rammed earth roofs is bamboo. So you have a tradition of something. And I think with how the narrative works in today, internationalism is good, but if you have a national hook in for something, I think it would be, but we need to tell the catchers about this. We need to tell the building industry here. And right now, up to the World Cup, there has been no reflection whatsoever. It's been, let's get on with this and let's be done. So I think once we slow down after the World Cup here, for sure.
No question.
Okay, well, if you don't have more questions, would like to thank you so much again for your view of the material of bamboo as a material for construction. It's interesting this comment that Brazil, that as in Brazil before, he's also mentioned that in Qatar it used to be a material, traditional material for construction, but in some way we forgot the old techniques. The old techniques were quickly being replaced by the modern materials, and now we are going back to rescue those traditional ways of buildings as earth buildings or bamboo-based material buildings, and that is this recovering makes us to reflect how to do that in a feasible and scaling up to the new reality we are going to face. So thank you so much for this inspiring presentation. We are now...
If I may
yes,
comment
please.
on this, I think this nationalism that we see in the whole world, which is an international phenomena, is dangerous. But there might be a tap-in for traditional material in this narrative, which comes a little bit like an hostage. That said, thank you for inviting me, and I should not take more time here.